One conference final down, one to go tonight when the Tampa Bay Lightning and the New York Islanders resume their Eastern Conference final. Hey, everybody. I'm Nick Kypreos. Welcome to the Real Kyper at Noon show. A terrific Tuesday shaped up today. Special Tuesday appearance. I didn't go T-shirt Tuesday today. Maybe it's just the effects of watching Vegas get knocked out last night. That has me a little disappointed. I was pushing hard for Vegas to be one of those teams that could make a 3-1 comeback in a conference final series. We know that it hasn't happened too often since, 1981. Only once we've seen it, and that was New Jersey and the Philadelphia Flyers in the year 2000. It didn't happen. And we can have watched this series go on and know for sure that Vegas was the better team. Vegas dominated in so many areas, but couldn't dominate where it needed most, and that's on the score sheet. So we'll get Doug Maclean on that. He'll be here today on a Tuesday. He asked the boss, that would be me on the show, for time off on Thursday and Friday. I granted it to him. He wants to go golfing. He's hooked on golfing right now. Every day, I shot this, I shot that. My putting was off. So Doug will have that to correct later on in the week. So we've got him today. We'll get on a lot of things, including the news that the Washington Capitals have their new head coach, Peter Laviolette, named head coach this morning officially. We'll get into that. The Montreal Canadiens, we went hard on the Toronto Maple Leafs on how we could progress them to be the team that could get to a conference final or Stanley Cup final. Next on board, the Montreal Canadiens. So I know there's a lot of Canadian fans out there that's going to want to stick around for that. We're going to also give you a Real Kyper boost. I was so close last night, going 3 for 3. I just couldn't get it done because Vegas couldn't hold on to a 2-0 lead. It was looking so good. I had the under. I had Vegas to win, and I gave you Riley Smith to score. And those odds were great yesterday if you had that going for you. But 2 for 3 is not bad. But we're 2 for 2 for Doug Maclean. We had him yesterday. We've got him today. Mac, I know we're going to start with the Western Conference. We're going to start with the look of George McPhee and Kelly McCrimmon in their suite. And the masks are on, but they don't hide the eyes. And the eyes were huge, Mac, on George McPhee. You could feel the pressure he was feeling for his team to advance out of the conference final. It's crazy to think that this team's only 3 years old, Mac, and they've been to 2 conference finals now. But what a disappointment. What a letdown for that organization, not being able to go to a Stanley Cup final also for the second time in 3 years.
Yeah, look, the expectations are through the roof in Vegas. That's what happens when you go to the Stanley Cup in your first round, and it is not an easy city. It's a what have you done for me lately type of city. Really interesting. Talked to a guy the other day in Vegas, and he said at the New York casino, the big Statue of Liberty outside has a Las Vegas Golden Knight jersey on. When they get down 3-1 in the series, it was a Las Vegas Raider jersey on the Statue of Liberty. As we know, the NFL is moving into Vegas. It's what have you done for me lately?
Yes.
A ton of pressure on Golden Knights. I was also told in the last couple of days that their owner, Mr. Foley, has not been a happy camper. You know what? It's funny how these owners become spoiled. You go to the Stanley Cup final, you come into the National Hockey League, and you think it's going to be easy. He forgets that Fleury stood on his head and took this team almost single-handedly to the Stanley Cup final. But owners get like that. I'll never forget Bill Torrey coming to me after we went to the Stanley Cup final in the next year. He said, Mr. Izinga's not happy. He thinks that we were going to win the Stanley Cup this year. We got beat out by the Rangers in the second year after going to the Cup final. And I said, he's really upset that we didn't win the Stanley. Yeah, he thought it was like a natural progression. I said, you better get him to talk to the Dolphins. They haven't won since 1970, have they? Like seriously. But anyway, that's how owners get. And don't think there's not a ton of pressure in that organization from Mr. Foley, who had expectations of advancing, especially when he was going against the Dallas Stars.
Terrific job by you deflecting there and throwing it on the Dolphins. That was fantastic. Get the focus off me and go fix your football team before you come knocking on my door.
Who was that coach of the Dolphins? What was his name?
Shula. All those years?
Oh, I forgot his name. I was going to say poor Don just passed away this year. But I said, go talk to Shula. Don't talk to me.
I know his T-bone steaks over at that restaurant all those years.
Don Shula Steakhouse.
Yes.
Yeah. No, Don Shula was a legend. And I remember, Don Shula, when I went to Florida, Don Shula was in like his 30th year. And I said, I'm just hoping to last 3 months. He's been here 30 years. Well, he's a legend. But anyway.
I would think overall the pitcher sucks right now, waking up if you're Kelly McCrimmon and George McPhee. But the cherry on top, or the part that would tick me off the most, Mac, is you're up 2-0. You're up 2-0. When Riley Smith scored, that was the one that had 99.9% people watching going, we're going to game 6. Except the guys on the Dallas bench. They're the only ones that didn't believe it was over.
And that's when they've thrived. I mean, and to a man, they talk about it, how we just stick with the game plan. Their power play has scored some just big goals for them. Their depth players have scored made big plays for them. Their stars have been good. Their defense have been unbelievable, and their goaltending has been spectacular. So there's a belief amongst that group that they were going to get it done. But when I saw the look on Riley Smith and Marchessault's face in the corner during that celebration, it was like, wow, we're there. We got it done. We're going to do it. We're going to get it to a game 6. And then, a couple of penalties, and it's a whole different ball game. But look, they had trouble scoring. And, DeBoer mentioned it. He said, did Demko rattle us? I can't coach the puck into the net. You don't say that as a coach when you're in the Stanley Cup playoffs. You don't say that when you're in the regular season, that you can't coach the puck into the net.
What does that mean? Does that mean that it's on them for not putting the puck in the net?
That means, yeah, it's on them for not putting it. Maybe it is, but you're a team. You don't make a comment like that. I didn't like it. I thought it was a big mistake. In my opinion, a dressing room that's already fractured because of what went on to start the round robin series, and right. You've talked about it more than anybody.
It's official. It only took 9 minutes before it all comes back into the Vegas face, and we got to go back because, Mac, we addressed this even before the playoffs started, and I am for one that believes that team first for 99.9%. There might have been, Mac, I look back and I would have sided with the team. I would have sided with the distraction. There's not the time and place of it was horrible for almost anybody, but maybe a guy like Sid Crosby and Marc-Andre Fleury. You know how I felt about the whole thing. And
yeah.
Marc-Andre Fleury was the one guy that could get away with, tell us how you really feel. Tell us how you really feel. And he did it. And anyone else I would have said, shut up. Shut up. Just focus on winning. It's about the team. It's not about you. But with this guy, it was different.
Like, this is what catches me off guard. You know what? I don't have a problem with them bringing in Leonard. I don't have a problem with that. But here's what I have a problem with. You go into a goofy round robin series and you're fighting for who you're going to play as an opponent. Yeah, it's important, but it's not the end of the world. Look where Vegas finished in the round robin, and look where Dallas finished in the round robin, to tell you how important it was. But here's what all that had to be done was Fleury starts the round robin. Not Leonard. Fleury starts the round robin. When Fleury falters, if he falters, if he loses his job, he loses his job fair and square, and you go to Leonard.
Yeah, well,
that's all that had to happen.
I don't want to
satisfies everybody.
I don't want to rehash the whole thing.
Because I think it bothered their dressing room.
Well,
I do.
It was one of those. I'm a big energy guy, Mac, and time. It's energy that didn't need to be sucked out of the room.
Totally.
And that in itself, you wonder how this thing kind of really came to be, because we do know that Vegas were shopping for a more reliable backup for Marc-Andre Fleury.
100%. And they should have been.
And it should have been. But Robin Leonard was not on the horizon. He was not on their radar, Mac. In fact, the guy that I had heard was Ryan Miller. They were going to go to Ryan Miller as a more veteran, reliable guy to back up Marc-Andre Fleury. And then Leonard comes around and he's cheap as dirt, Mac.
Yeah, I know.
Second round choice.
And a good pickup.
Was the primary, and actually a good pickup, which I don't think, again, if it's played out properly, if the optics of it were played out to your point where it was legit and it was sold. We know it was sold to Marc-Andre Fleury that we have this for your insurance.
And
we don't
lose your job.
Subban.
Yeah.
But that was not the case.
No.
So the reason why Marc-Andre Fleury okayed Walsh's tweet was no other reason other than you lied to me.
Right. 100%.
That's
and you know
all.
What?
That was energy. That was energy that followed them along.
This was the most popular player in franchise history. I know it's been short. You go to a game there, and not that it's a big deal. 50% of the jerseys in the building are Fleury. The other 50% are a bunch of players within the group, amongst the team. He's popular in the dressing room. The players love him in the dressing room. It just, I don't get why you do this.
It was not a goaltending issue because Leonard played fabulous.
Yeah, he did. He
did. He give up 9 goals, 8 or 9 goals in the whole series? Plenty. He was not the issue. I know you didn't like the game-winning goal, short side, but it is what it is.
It was a great shot.
It was not a goaltending issue, but what was an issue was the negative energy that it brought and the distraction that it brought. And on top of that, Mac, we talked last week, and what did we say? I hear there's a 5-year deal sitting in a desktop right now at $5 million. And then, of course, that word gets out.
And Leonard's denied it. But
and then he's got to go and deny it, or he's got to say it's not signed.
That's right.
Exactly. Tell me, when you're he got irked by that. It's a conference final. Why are you talking to me about this? Right. More negative kind of energy. And you can't tell me for 1 second that didn't come into play at all throughout this.
And whether people believe it or not, there's a trust situation. Stastny's there thinking, okay, I'm making 6-5 next year with 1 year left. What happens to me? Pacioretty gets 1 goal in 7. Marchessault, is he going to be back? I mean, it starts if they do that to Fleury, where do I fit? So I just don't like McPhee. George McPhee is a veteran guy. McCrimmon is a veteran junior guy. I guess he thinks he's a veteran NHL guy. But I'll tell you what, you don't need those distractions there, and they'll say it wasn't that. It was all
No, it was,
I
well,
just
what they should say, it wasn't a goaltending issue. That's not the
right,
reason why we lost this
right,
series.
and
Goaltending
that's
was not the
fair,
reason. That's
and I'll
fair.
buy that. I'll buy that. That's fair.
Yes.
But
Okay.
anyway, and
All right.
and their big guys,
So-
went
No.
dry on them. I
Yeah.
mean,
Mac,
Thatcher Demko took all their confidence away. I mean, are you kidding me? I know he was great,
but Mac,
but
but you
they
still
haven't
won the
scored in
series.
2 weeks.
You still won the series.
Right.
Like,
You should be anyway.
I don't know. I wouldn't have gone down that path. You win a series despite a goaltender that shuts you down. You should gain confidence out of that. You should make you feel like we can find different ways to win, even against one of the hottest goaltenders ever. So I see it as an opposite. You should have felt great winning that series going against Demko, not feeling like, again, you're dragging bad energy into a conference final.
I mean, look, it's such a strange series for me because territorially they dominate it, analytically they dominate it, but they didn't get great second chances. They didn't get 2-on-1s. They didn't get breakaways. They didn't get the typical way they physically they didn't dominate physically like they have most teams. And I'll tell you what,
if it wasn't Ryan Reeves running around, they did lose a big presence here.
Yeah,
Physically. And I'll say this, Mac, that I think this conference final, we can sit there and say Vegas is the better team on paper, but this is a prime example that you win with defense. And Vegas forwards are better collectively, but Vegas defense isn't near Dallas. Not even close.
Not even close.
And they lost. They lost this series because Dallas's defense is better than Vegas's defense.
Not close,
Okay?
in my opinion.
Go watch now. Go
They
ahead.
also lost because we've already talked about this too much, but Hudobin. But they also lost because Jamie Benn, who is one of the top power forwards in the game, who sometimes he needs to get his engine going. Well, he got his engine going. He got his engine going in this series, and he got better every game. And Sagan got better and got a little healthier every game. And Radulov got better. And
watch.
Pavelski is a leader and a star. And they're battlers like the Comos and the Coglianos and guys, they need it. The kids, the two European kids played terrific, a big goal. So you know what? It was
down 2-0. Go watch Ben's goal that makes it 2-1. Okay.
Power play in the slot. Power move in the slot.
Go watch the one-on-one battle between Radulov and Nate Schmidt. And he puts him on his ass. He just absolutely buries him. Nate's pissed off because he didn't get a cross-check or interference call. You're not getting that call in the conference final, bud. Keep on your feet and battle hard, but do not end up with your ass on the ice. Battle number 1. Battle number 2 was Jamie Benn in front with Stastny. Go watch what he does to Stastny right before the goal. He chews him up and he spits him out.
Right.
And that isn't what you saw out of Marchessault, Riley Smith, Pacioretty. Pacioretty can't do that. Pacioretty's got to be at the top of the circles and hope that a shot gets through. But he ain't doing that in a conference final.
Well, and the other thing, I mean, we saw Ryan Reeves take a run at Jamie Benn. Jamie Benn taking a run at Riley, I should say. Reeves, and stands in there. He stands in there. They're not going to be intimidated by Ryan Reeves. I'm sorry, those guys, the Benns, the Pavelskis, the true leaders are not going to be intimidated by Ryan Reeves. And great on Ryan Reeves. He gave them lots of energy. He's been an energy guy all the way along. He's became bigger than life. He may be the second most famous Golden Knight ever. But I'm sorry, Intimidation doesn't work with those guys this time of year. So you know what? It's a tough loss. They'll be devastated today about this. And
they've got some
Dallas,
issues.
What about Dallas? They lose 9 of their first 10 games this year. They have to fire their coach, Jimmy Montgomery, who was in the middle of a great run because of issues. And all of a sudden, Rick Bowness comes in. Rick Bowness sent me a note, I bet you it was 6-7 years ago, asking me, why am I not being perceived as a head coach? That was a text that Rick sent me. I think it was 6-7 years ago. And I basically said, hang in there. I mentioned his name for a couple of jobs. Look what Rick Bowness does. Comes in after not being a head coach for what? I don't know. Is it 15, 20 years since he was a head coach? I mean, how long since he's been in Ottawa with the Senators? He was with. I mean, look. I mean,
and listen to the
look
narrative.
At the energy in that bench. Look at the feel of that group. Look at the attitude and the atmosphere within that group. I'm sorry, it was a difference maker in this series, in my opinion.
And look at the narrative now with the Dallas Stars, that it's Rick Bowness and the Dallas Stars going to the Stanley Cup Final. It's not Jamie Benn. Hudobin was great, but it's not him. He has turned this story into leading the charge here. He is the face of the team right now, not the players.
This is a 66-year-old coach who hasn't been a head coach. I mean, he's been 35 years running around the league, but he's a 66, turning 67-year-old head coach who came in a challenging situation, and all he's done is take his team to the Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, what a job. And then, you know Jimmy Nill. I know Jimmy Nill. It looks good on both of them, man.
Well,
it looks good on both of them.
Plenty of discussion still coming up on the Real Kyper at Noon show. Thanks for joining us today. If you're a first-time watcher, please subscribe. Love to have you on board full-time here. Thanks for everybody else's support. Hit the like button for Doug Maclean. He always enjoys that. So we will get into Peter Laviolette being named the Washington Capitals coach. Just a follow-up, Mac, to Jim Nill and Rick Bowness in terms of the immediate future. Jim Nill went on public television and talked about basically saying the job is his if he wants it. And I don't know too many 65, 66-year-olds that wouldn't want to grab it ASAP just in case they change their mind. Last time I checked, there weren't a lot of jobs available for guys this age, especially a guy that's worn the associate coach hat for a very long period of time. So why haven't they done this? Why wouldn't this have been cleaned up a lot earlier? Is there a sense now that the only reason that they haven't taken the interim label off of Rick Bowness is because he may have second guesses or second feelings towards not being maybe a full-time head coach?
Well, I think, you know what, Jim Nill said it, that the job basically is Rick's, and he hopes that Rick comes back. That is a little bit off for an announcement as far as I'm concerned. Do you read into that just what you said? Yeah, maybe Rick, for whatever reason, may not coach next year. I don't know this, but there's something when I heard Jimmy make that announcement, I thought, that doesn't sound like, usually it would say, Rick is our coach next year. He said it's Rick's job if Rick decides he wants to do it. So I don't know. I haven't talked to Rick. I sent him a note this morning, but I haven't talked to him. I don't know what the status is there, but it will be interesting. I would not say it's a foregone conclusion that he will be back. And if he's not, it'll be Rick Bowness's decision and Rick's decision only if he's not back. That's what I can say. I'm not sold 100% he is going to be back.
Okay. Let's leave the Western Conference and go to the Eastern Conference because there's so much we still want to get into, including an in-depth discussion on the Montreal Canadiens coming up later on in the show. Mac, Islanders, Tampa Bay. Is this the second closeout series back-to-back with the Tampa Bay Lightning up 3-1? Where are the Islanders going to find that energy moving forward?
Well, Barry Trotz has subtly put a ton of pressure on his top guys. He has, the media has, he needs more out of his top guys. Point may be out tonight. In all likelihood, is out, or at least I would be shocked if Point plays tonight with the fact they're up 3-1. Look, well, if Trotz doesn't get more out of the Barzal line, Eberle line, Lee line, the series is over tonight. They're a resilient group. The Islanders have battled hard all year. They will not lie down. Would it surprise me if they extended it? With Point out, it wouldn't surprise me they have a chance to extend this series. That would not surprise me in the least. It's hard to knock the Islanders because of the way they haven't been great defensively in this series, but they haven't been great defensively because Tampa have been that good offensively and that dynamic with their top people. And their blue line, it's no different than the Vegas series in my mind. The blue line for Tampa Bay has been much better than the blue line for the Islanders.
Yeah, without a doubt. And while we look at Shea Theodore with Vegas as being a bona fide number one, the thing that I see in Vegas, Mac, is the drop off between Theodore and probably 4 or 5 guys underneath him. The Islanders don't have a Shea Theodore. They don't have a Victor Hedman, but there is more of a consistent feel between their number 1 and their number 4. So it's a gradual decline, and that's the way the Islanders have been able to get away with a great team concept and a good defense. But it does catch up to you when you don't have a Victor Hedman. And I think that's what's happening with the New York Islanders here. That blue line with Tampa Bay is every bit what I think Dallas's is. And while maybe people think that the sexier matchup would have been Vegas and Tampa Bay, I'm not so sure. I look at Dallas's blue line as being one that can at least, we'll still give the edge, I think, to Hedman and maybe McDonough, or maybe not. I don't know. I mean, Sergachev, but I tell you what, skill-wise, Klingberg and Miro Heiskanen, to me,
and Lindell.
How
good was he last night, Lindell?
So that to me has a great shape up. I just don't see the Islanders with that blue line now being able to hang in.
Well, and you saw some wear and tear happening to Pelech, and Polak in that first pairing. I mean, when you're going head to head so often with the big boys in Tampa, it wears you down, it catches you, and they've had to do it the entire playoff run because they're typically up against the big boys. Even Taves and Mayfield in that second group, there's been a little bit of a drop off there. And then you've got Green, who's 37. You've got Leddy. I mean, unfortunately, it wears you down when you have a dynamic group of forwards against you. And they've gone through a dynamic group of forwards in Florida, Washington, and now Tampa. That's not an easy road for the defense to match up against.
Never would have thought that Dallas could be in a position of a Stanley Cup final with Tyler Seguin getting a couple of goals in 20 games now. And yet Rick Bowness has no problem leaving Seguin, Ben, and Radulov together. And I think because when Tyler Seguin isn't scoring, there is a physical force that line provides. And we saw that on the first Ben goal last night.
Listen, Nick.
I just want to transition
together, reuniting that line and keeping them together. Maybe the reason they won the series.
Yeah. Okay. So my point in bringing back Dallas into this equation in the Eastern Conference is that Barry Trotz is looking at now Barzal, Eberle, and Lee, and he's gotten all but a couple assists out of Barzal, and the other guys have gone AWOL here. What about a simple solution, Mac, for Trotz? Just break up that line. Don't make it so easy for Cooper to put Point when he's healthy out there against that line, because you're getting your lunch fed.
The one move that I would definitely make, and I'd love to see if it's going to happen, I would be flipping Eberle with Bailey. Just that, or getting Nelson in the group. I think Barzal needs somebody besides Eberle with him tonight.
Yes.
In this matchup. And I don't care who it is, but a subtle thing as flipping out, giving Eberle and whoever a different look, and giving Barzal a different look. I would try something like that, mixing up his top six. Doesn't really matter if you mix it up a little bit. I know they've been together a lot. I know they've all had great years. I just think roll the dice a little bit with your top six and try something there. And if somebody's not going, Brassard has put up some big points for them at times, made some big plays. You know what? Give them a little sniff there. But anyway, it's fun. Right. Just one final note, by the way, on if Tampa win and they go against Dallas, and we've talked a lot about Rick Bowness and John Cooper. Let's not forget the parting of the ways between. As you know, we like to be disturbers here. What do you call it?
Shit disturbers.
Yeah, that's what you call it.
Yeah, you lead the way, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Let's not forget the divorce between John Cooper and Rick Bowness when this duo broke up in Tampa.
So
it was ugly.
So Rick Bowness, of course, was with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and John Cooper. In many ways, Rick Bowness mentored John Cooper, Mac, right?
Yeah.
Like, you got the most games behind a bench in history out of Rick Bowness. You couldn't find a more experienced guy to help John Cooper come into the league. And he was there, 5-6 years? And then when the expectations got really high, many felt that Rick took too much heat on that and basically lost his job. He worked the defense and he worked the penalty kill. And, with slower guys on the back end like Garrison and Coburn, not the easy of defense core to kind of try to win a Stanley Cup with. So, the understanding is the parting of the ways between Cooper and Rick Bowness wasn't very good at all. I heard at times they weren't even speaking to each other. Right. What did you hear?
Well, I just heard it was ugly. So, and you know what? So
hey, does that not shape up with maybe a terrific Stanley Cup final? There's a major story. They're going to want to crush each other.
Well, much like the Leonard thing where you announce the contract, and much like the Fleury thing when you announce it, the media types will jump on this and they'll forget that it was really on the Real Kyper and Noon show that they first heard it. Not that we pay any attention to those things.
I don't. You do. I do.
Because it pisses me off, to be quite honest.
You like it when you get credit. You want credit for the show.
Credit where credit is due. But anyway, look, this is going to make for now. We're getting ahead of ourselves because it with point out tonight. The Islanders have a chance to extend the series, and if it goes 6, who knows?
Yeah, but you're getting ahead of yourself because they do have to beat the Islanders to get to Rick Bowness, so we can watch two coaches that
right.
Maybe what's a political correct way of saying it, Mac?
Hate each other.
No.
Oh, no.
Don't use the word hate. Hate's too strong.
Okay. Have a mutual dislike for each other.
Okay. So that's better. You're getting better at this. Good.
A lack of respect.
Works.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. I happen to like both the guys, and
yes.
But
it could shape up for an interesting storyline.
What we would attempt to do, unlike a lot of media types, is we would try to help them become friends again. If we were on scene, if we would be at the games. I don't think line movement's sending us to the games. Thank God for that. I loved fall golf and PEI. But anyway.
I got to be honest with you. If I was ever doing an intervention or anything like that, you'd be the last guy I would invite.
I have my master's in psychology. You forget that.
Oh my gosh. Dust that thing off. Maybe you can help Cooper and Rick Bowness get along during the final.
Well, I tried to help Vegas and they didn't listen to me.
Okay, let's move on.
By the way, just one final tidbit on the Vegas series. A good friend of mine, I suspect, had a very good night's sleep last night after the game.
Oh, you want to bring that up right now?
And I would just mention that I was thinking of Gerard Gallant a lot during the game last night. Gerard Gallant would be the last guy to, I suspect he was actually, would he be cheering for Vegas? He'd be cheering for the players, and he'd be cheering against Kelly McCrimmon and George McPhee and Mr. Foley. I guarantee you that.
You know Gerard's too big of a person.
I know.
And too classy to ever admit to anything. But that
he won't admit it. I'm just telling you.
He won't admit it, but
I know he won't admit it. I'm just telling you. He slept better last night because of it.
I think he sleeps very well, win or lose for Vegas.
Yeah, probably does.
Yeah.
But like we're saying, we're trying to be disturbers.
We are, but you're just leaning towards the competitive nature of all of us who's
exactly. That's the point I'm making.
That's a natural feeling.
It's a natural phenomenon.
You know, you guys think you're so smart. Look at you. Look where you ended up.
Yeah,
you know,
look.
I get that, but nonetheless, you needed to bring it up.
I know, I do. I had to.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, how's Peter Laviolette sleeping these days, knowing he's got the task of winning a Stanley Cup in, I would think, Mac, the next 2 years? I believe he signed a 3-year deal in the vicinity of $12 million. The question I have for you, my friend, is, was Peter Laviolette their first choice? Because we know that they had spoken to Babcock first.
Well, you know what? It's interesting. Somebody mentioned to me that Mike Babcock is owed $17 million. And Mike can be as bitter as you and I can be. And Mike would like to make the Leafs pay every last penny of that $17 million that he's owed. And will he coach before that is up? That will be fun to see. Do you believe Laviolette beat him out for this job? I know Jersey talked to Laviolette. I know Laviolette had a big request for dollars in Jersey.
Well, in Jersey.
And I don't know.
But that's not Washington, and that's not a team that is close to winning a Stanley Cup. So
I know. I agree with that.
That's not a job that was on his radar for the first choice, Mac.
No, this would be the Washington Capital type of job is the type of job that Babcock and Laviolette, two of the higher profile guys would. But do you think Babcock went down the road on this job? Do you think they went Laviolette over Babcock? I don't know that. I don't know.
I get the sense that they chose Laviolette because he was a little his price comes in cheaper than it would Babcock's. That's the bottom line.
But it shouldn't because Laviolette was owed like $1.5 million or something from Nashville, and
I like the 3 years, Mac. It didn't. Yeah. It wasn't 4 or 5.
Yeah, probably.
And I don't think Babcock would have gone 3 years, Mac, and taken the Leafs off the hook.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So you know what? It's not going to be an easy job. I know Gerard Gallant was also interviewed for the job. They were looking for a very experienced guy. That's who they interviewed, experienced guys. You know what? To be quite honest, I think Laviolette is a good choice for this job because you better be able to stand in front of a team and you better be able to address and you better not be intimidated with the group that they have in that dressing room. That, to me, is not an easy team to coach, as Todd Reardon found out.
I look at Peter Laviolette's coaching career, and you wonder how many superstars he's ever come across to deal with, like an Ovechkin.
None.
Not
Not even close.
So he had Carolina. He had Nashville, of course, Philadelphia. He coached to a Stanley Cup final. And the only one I could think of maybe is Chris Pronger in Philly, that he would have a guy that could command a room and carry the weight like an Ovechkin, but that would be it.
That would be it.
I didn't get anything out of Carolina's Cup run. Rod Brendamore, good player, but not superstar.
Yeah.
Nothing in Nashville.
No. Weber.
So
Weber would be the closest.
And that would be now his biggest challenge now is, and let's face it, Mac, it's about Laviolette. It's about a hard-ass coach to go in there and take away this comfort zone that Montreal or that Washington Capitals have had. They've the country club feel, and the perception out there that they were partying in the bubble, right? Poolside parties, that was talked about by your buddy there. Who's your buddy there? Who wrote that?
I have no idea.
From The Athletic. Russo.
Oh, Russo said that.
I think so, if I'm not mistaken. We'll double check on that. But that was the perception in the bubble, that they were and Laviolette has to come out and take that away from them instantly. So
big time. And
I gotta think that you go to the alpha dog. The alpha dog's Ovechkin. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out early. I'm sure we'll hear the reports that they've met, they've talked, they've liked it. Yeah, we're all on the same page. Okay, proof will be in the pudding when we start next season.
Yeah.
So that was from Michael Russo at The Athletic. His quote was, the stories from inside the bubble about the Caps basically turning it into a vacation, having pool parties and things like that. You pretty much knew that they had no interest being there. I don't know. I feel like that's such lazy reporting.
Mac,
sorry.
Were you his source? Because you knew about patio pool parties.
I was not. Look, I will be the first to admit I was not Mike Russo's source, but I did teach Mike Russo in 1996 what an offside was.
He's come a long way since
hockey.
then.
When he started covering hockey. Now he's a star reporter.
See the monster that you created? I tell people the same thing when they see you on TV or on my show now.
Yeah, exactly.
I created this monster.
Yeah.
Okay, so Peter Laviolette is in. We know Claude Julien's in next season for the Montreal Canadiens. Let's go right into our Montreal Canadien how to fix. And we're going to continue this throughout the next week or two in terms of looking at certain teams. We're going to go into the Montreal Canadiens now, Mac. Where do you start? If we look at Marc Bergevin, maybe we start there, and I'll open this up to you in terms of a team that did not make the playoffs this year, that were not good enough to make the playoffs. Did the experience of the bubble save Bergevin's job? Is that too strong of a comment?
I think it probably did, because he and Jeff Molson have an extraordinary relationship, and they seem to, Jeff trusts Bergie, and it's been. I mean, look, this is a tough job. He's been under extreme pressure, and yet they stay with him. And there's little spots here and there where they think they're getting over the hump, and they look like they're making a move, and then they drop off, and then they bounce back. So whether, to me, I want to look, I'd rather look at the team more than Bergie and what he has to fix with this group, and for them to be serious contenders, not like what they are right now, which are a bunch of guys that are easy to play against, which I hate to say that, but I said it about the Leafs, and I'm saying it about this group. They're easy to play against, except for Shea Weber.
Well, Mac, I mean, if they're easy to play against, it's because of a guy making those decisions.
Well, no, I know. I agree with that.
I don't want to. I'm not trying to create something that's not there, but I think understand with the Montreal Canadiens, you got to really understand some of the moves that have worked. And who doesn't like Nick Suzuki for Pacioretty? I mean, that one in many ways could be the start of something for Mark Bergevin that
and
really
Tatar.
turns
You got
this.
Tatar for him as well.
Yeah. So I mean, it has looked good, but I also wonder, Mac, where this team would be if there was a couple of pivotal defensemen right now, and Sergachev in a Tampa Bay uniform is looking pretty good in the number 3 slot, and maybe one day even, as good as Hedman. Who knows with this guy? He's a big stud.
Yeah, so let's look at. We'll leave their goaltending because I got some issues with the Allen signing, to be quite honest. But I would like to look at their defense. First of all, let me touch on Allen. There's going to be a bunch of backups available this summer, a bunch of good goaltenders that could potentially be backups. He has got great cap space, in excess of 13 million cap space, in that range because it fluctuates. Why would you spend $3.4 million on a backup goalie unless there's some other rational reason I can't figure, versus spending it where you need it on your back end and your wings? On your wings,
well,
where they're midgets,
they are going to spend it.
What?
They are going to spend it on the back end because they're going to sign Edmondson. They picked him up. And he's a bona fide NHLer. He's a minute muncher. Yeah, he's big, Mac. He's 6'4", 6'5", 220. He's got a little bit of mobility for a guy that big. So that there's your defenseman. They're going to have to re-sign him, of course.
Okay.
And what's it going to cost them, Mac? He's going to want maybe Scandella type of money out of St. Louis, so it shouldn't cost you much more than $3.25.
Well, they're crazy to give him that. They're nuts to give him that.
No, for a guy that plays 18 minutes a night, Mac, it's not crazy.
But just a minute. They've got Sherratt and Weber as their, who have played really well together. You got Petrie on the right side, who they've got to get signed, and they've got to keep the money. They got to get him signed with the way he's played on a fair deal. They got Romanoff coming, who right now is the best defense prospect outside the NHL. He is a tough, hard-nosed guy that plays the game well.
They say he does not have. They say that they say he does not have an on and off switch, man. This guy will go as hard in practice as he will.
And this is a guy that fits into their top 4 for me. So I love the fact that Romanoff will slide in there. They've got Cole Fleury, who a lot of people think can slide in and be a real good, solid young guy on their back end as well. I think they got Kulak there. They've got Mete there. They got Ouellette there. I mean, Edmondson can come in. I think they really need more of a dynamic guy that can be a real – I know Weber's a power play guy. Petrie is a bit of – they need a dynamic power play type guy that's better than Mete on the back end. For me,
they still are
an
defense.
guy.
Mete has not developed in the last 2.5, 3 years.
No, he hasn't. That's why they need more than a Kulak and more than a Mete there. Yeah. I think they need that type of guy, and I'm not. Edmonston's fine, but if they overpay on Edmonston, to me, that's not a smart move. I'm sorry, it's not a smart move. For me, it's not, because they need too much in more important places. 20
other teams looking for that defenseman that you're talking about, Mac. And I don't know if they're going to get it.
Well, you know what? Okay, let me give you this one. Does a guy like Tyson Barrie fit in with this group as a guy that can rebound? I know he was bad in Toronto. I know he wasn't good there. But is he the sort of guy that can come in with Weber, Sherratt, Romanoff, Petrie, and be an important guy that's just be more of a power play guy with a Weber?
Yes. The answer is yes. And
well, that's what I'm thinking of.
I know there's warts with that kid, but he's gonna give you 40 points, isn't he?
But they liked him in Colorado. I know he's always available because they really wanted the number 2 center. I'm just thinking they've got to do. Sergachev is exactly what they need. You brought it up, Nick. Sergachev is exactly what they need, and they've got Drew Anstead, who they don't need.
if you're worried about overpaying Edmondson, what do you give Barry if you're Mark Bergevin?
But I think
Mac,
seriously of it.
6.5.
Well, I don't know that I'd give him that much, but and that's the question. What do you try to negotiate to try to get somebody like him to give you a chance to take a step here? And I like Joel Edmondson. I just don't think he's what they need for that kind of money, in my opinion.
Okay, let's move it up front a little bit. We just finished dissecting that blue line. So if we look at up front, Mac, and they were like the little engine that could, man. That was just like that kid's book in the playoffs. But they're not big enough. How do you change the Smurf look on the Montreal Canadiens?
Well, look, I looked at it today, and I go down. Let's take on the left side up front. I got blank in the number 1 left side spot. I got Tatar in the second spot, and I got a square around him because I don't really like him. And in the third spot, I got a blank. And in the fourth spot, I got Byron. So I see that they need 2 big body left wingers there. 2 bigger guys to play the left side with some skill. And I know they're not easy to find. Drouin, I don't like. He's got 3 more years at 5.5. What do they do with him? There's nothing they can do with him. So he's there. But I'm saying until they move by some of these guys, the Tatars and the Drouins and the Lekkonens, and I just don't see those guys. So I think they need 2 left wingers. Then I go to the right side, and I got blank on the first right wing spot, and I got Gallagher in the second spot, who I love. And I got Armia there. And, Domi's probably not going to be there. They don't seem to like him. And who have they got coming? They got Caulfield coming, who's 5'6", can score like a madman, but he's 5'6".
They can't go there until
so
they
gotta
bigger.
Get some size amongst this forward group. And here, give me your. I mean, that's where I am. That's on the wings. I haven't even got to center yet.
Yeah. Well, and that's really comes into play with Max Domi, winger, centerman, winger. Julian all but said it. He's going to have to play in the center position if they have any chance of moving forward. Nobody gets a sense that Julian's a Max Domi fan. Nobody. This is not going anywhere between Max Domi and Claude Julien. It really isn't.
And he should move on. And
I know they haven't asked for a trade, but you have to be shopping hard to just get away from that energy, because I don't think Max will ever be able to play for Claude Julien, and I don't think Claude Julien's ever in a position to ever trust Max Domi. So it's a foregone conclusion this guy's out of here.
And I've got him out. I've got him moving on is what I have. And that's, I like Max Domi. I think he had a great year there. He looked like he was going to be a real good fit there. And then for whatever reason, it died. So look at their center ice, Nick. You got Suzuki, who nobody can tell me he's not way ahead of schedule where people thought he'd be based on his playoff series this year. Okay. His playoff series against Pittsburgh, and then his playoff series in particular, again, in the second round against Philadelphia. So you've got Suzuki, but you're a little nervous. He's a kid. And how high can that kid be in your lineup? And you've got Kokoniemi, who's a bigger guy, decent skater, good skater, but not, to me, he's not a great, but he's a good one. He's going to be a real good player. And you got Danault. So for me, Danault is a perfect number 3 guy. They got him up higher than that because he goes head to head.
Guess what?
But I'm sorry.
He's not laying down. He's not laying down. Philip Danault's not laying down and just and taking that 3rd seed.
No. But Nick, is he not a perfect number 3 guy to have higher than that?
I think Philip Danault could be a 3 and then at times a number 2 on a very good team, a team that even could be challenging for a Stanley Cup.
Well, here's where they desperate.
He's also needs a new contract, Mac. And,
Right, I know.
He's a year away from UFA,
I know.
as is Tatar, as is Gallagher.
I
So
know.
while it could be easier in this particular offseason, what does Marc Bergevin do with all those three guys that I just mentioned when they become UFA a year from now, 21, July?
That's why he's got to use his money effectively now to bring in the right guys that are going to be here long term, so that a few of those guys may leave. Now, to me, Danault is unbelievably important for them, and I'll tell you why. If you think you're going to run with Suzuki and Kokoniemi and everything is going to be peaches and cream and rosy with those two kids next year over an 82-game season, you're going to need a veteran centerman. And not only Danault, but you need another veteran centerman to be able to work and help those two kids. And I think the criticalness here is, who is the other centerman they bring in besides Suzuki, Kokoniemi, and Danault? That guy has got to be experienced, because Suzuki and Kokoniemi will have their ups and downs. And Danault is going to be moving up and down when they're having their troubles. And you need another centerman that's going to be real important there as well. That's why he's got to make the right choice here in the offseason to find the right couple of guys here.
Okay, so president and general manager, what do you pay Phillip Danault on a long-term deal? And if Gallagher's UFA in 2021, what are you offering Gallagher a year out to get him on a long-term deal?
So what's Gallagher at right now? He's at 3.5 roughly.
We'll get Jordan to confirm that.
3.4, 3.5.
I don't think it would be much more than 4. I think it would be. It might even be a little bit more.
So the question is, what do you give them? I mean, the problem is, whatever you give Gallagher, if you give him a lot of term, it's going to come back. But he's one of the guys that plays his tail off and makes you a little bit tougher. But I mean, he never he scored one goal in the playoffs, and it was in the last game. I mean, how much more can this body handle? Mm-hmm. He plays so damn hard. He's such a competitive guy. I love him, but you got to be careful on a long-term deal here, in my opinion.
So Mac. He made $4 million in 2019, 2020, and he is scheduled to actually take a slight dip, 2.75 in 2020, 21.
His cap hit
3.4.
Yeah.
Are you talking about his cap hit or his salary?
Yeah.
No, his cap
I think his cap hit's around 3.4.
It's 3.7. 3.7. Yeah. So we
and
had it right where we thought it was. Mac,
well, he's
6.5. He's 6.5, and if you want him on a shorter term deal, he's $7 million.
Who, Gallagher?
Gallagher.
Yeah,
all day long. That guy will hit 7 on the free agency.
Well, then you know what? They better give him more money and have it a shorter term, in my opinion.
So go 7.5 for 5.
I wouldn't do that.
Too much?
I think it's too much. But it depends what else. It depends what other people he can bring in, who he can find to play defense for him, and who he can find to play on the wings for him. That's why I'm dead against giving Allen $3.4 million. I don't get that.
It's only for 1 year, Mac.
I don't care. He needs it right now this is a chance for him with all kinds of cap space to do something really important.
Yeah, I disagree. I think Jake Allen can be the difference between 6 points, 8 points. That's the difference between making the playoffs or being on the outside looking again. We don't know whether, Mac, we're looking at a 50-game season, compressed schedule. I think we saw what Carey Price is able to do when he's feeling good, healthy, and not overworked, that he could carry teams. So I'm okay with Jake Allen for 1 year. And if you need to move him at a deadline, do that.
How many guys will be in backup positions this year that had better years than Jake Allen and would come in at half the price? I think there's a bunch of them.
Hudobin's not coming in at half the price.
No, he's not. But I mean, there's other guys in the league. The marketplace is going to be flooded with good goaltenders this year. I just don't get why he would when he's got an opportunity to fill some critical needs on the wing and on his blue line. to make. I don't buy improving by 6 points. That's not what it's got to be about with the Habs. It's got to be about taking a big step. When you've got 13, 15 million in cap space, it can't be about 6 points making the damn playoff.
Well, no, it's not.
It's got to be about taking a step as an organization and getting rid of some of these lightweights.
You need stopgaps. And
that's what they've been doing
can do
5
that.
years.
You got Primo. You know Primo's going to be backing up Carey Price very soon. So
that's what I mean. Exactly. Why not go on a 1-year deal with somebody that's half the price? Because maybe Primo will be good enough in halfway through the season. But it's not about stopgaps. You've got 13 plus million. Why don't you try to make this into a team that's going to take a major step and build around some of these young guys with some quality experience and some size and some specialty guys on the back end instead of guys that you can hardly fill out your roster with. Look, I'm just giving you my opinion.
I don't have to take it.
No, you don't. You don't.
Okay, now that we've got that cleaned out. So is Montreal, if everything goes back to normal, which, is on my wish list and everybody else on the planet's wish list, Montreal is not a team that's on a normal regular season. Are they a playoff team going into next season? Can they compete with?
I think I would have a hard time with.
Are they a top 16 now?
I don't see them there. Like, I just don't. I mean, I know they had an exciting run and lost to Philadelphia. I know that. I know they got Carey Price, and I know they got Weber. Unless Romanoff comes in, and I hear he's terrific. Unless the kids continue, and the Kotkaniemi and Suzuki are going to have their ups and downs, but they're going to be a lot better. I just don't have enough there that I like enough to put them in the playoffs. If there's another fake playoff like this year, they'll get in.
But we need like 26 out of 30.
We got to change. Hey, don't forget, when I had bad teams, I was in there every year campaigning to get more people in the playoffs.
Okay, so
they need a makeover, whether they believe it or not, and I just think it's an opportunity with this much cap space and with a pretty good field and with teams that are strapped to get rid of people. Bergie can make a big impression this summer with the right pickups.
There is a sense that there's going to be a ton of pressure on him to go back to the dance again.
Do you agree that there's a lot of people looking to make moves that could help Bergie improve his hockey team?
Oh, yeah.
That's why I'm saying spend your money wisely.
Like you did on an RV.
Let's not go there.
Let's not go there. Okay, so good discussion on the Montreal Canadiens. We went pretty hard on them too, Mac. What team you want to improve next? Where do you want to go? You want to help Eugene in Ottawa?
No, I don't. I don't want to help him.
Why? He needs it more than anyone.
We want to help Anthony LeBlanc so he doesn't have to tell as many fibs this year.
Mac, if we got rid of all the people that told fibs in the National Hockey League, how many people would be left?
I might have been able to get a job.
All right, before I let you go, one thing I wanted to talk to you about that I didn't mention, or we didn't go down that path because we were entrenched in other topics, was the delay of game penalty and what it did to Zach Whitecloud. And of course, we're in a sensitive time, so everybody's worried about, how heartbreaking it would be for him to take that penalty. And I don't disagree. I mean, he's a young player still, and we saw the look on him in the penalty box. But it's not like this rule snuck up on anybody. It's not like we just brought it in a few years ago. This rule is 15 years old. the automatic delay of game penalty for over the glass here.
Yeah.
So, and it's not like we didn't have this discussion 15 years ago. What happens if it's like, the Stanley Cup is on the line and then somebody does it? And it's like, well, then he goes to the penalty box, he feels shame, and then he comes out. That's it. So why are we so now hung up on this rule when we saw this 15 years ago?
I think because we're a more, and I pride myself in this, I'm a much more sensitive person than I was before.
You're not really.
I thought some of the TV people were going to break down and cry last night over it. They felt worse than White Cloud did, to be quite honest. And I felt more sorry for the TV commentators who were breaking down versus White Cloud, who's a tough, hard-nosed kid who happened to have a real good playoff for a young guy, undrafted from, Bemidji State, a great story. So it happened. He was in a battle, and it hurt him. I mean,
do we not look at this no different than if a guy trips somebody, hooks somebody?
Calls other guys took.
Interference call. Like, no referee wants to see a game decided on, this one didn't come out. This one didn't need judgment because it is what it is. And that's the rule. It's been there for 15 years. It's not coming out. I had no problem with it.
The game was decided because Marchessault and Stone and all those guys had a tough time scoring goals.
Yeah.
That's why the series was decided. Sorry. They couldn't score on Hudobin, and that was really it wasn't White Cloud taking a tough penalty. I hate the penalty, but it's there. It's part of it. So some people like it. I remember Gilmore I remember coaching against Gilmore in Calgary. He'd flip it out 5 times a game to get a whistle. You need it,
Well, he lost position. He took a chop at the puck.
Right.
What else is he like? Is he going to let the guy go in all alone on his goalie in overtime? I mean, it is what it is. It's a penalty that they made Vegas pay for.
White Cloud is not the reason they lost, and he shouldn't feel bad. I mean, it's natural you feel bad. It's natural as a kid you feel bad, but he shouldn't. He played too damn hard.
There is some thought, Mac, that if the New York Islanders if Tampa Bay closes out the New York Islanders, that they could start as early as Thursday, the Stanley Cup Final. Is that for no other reason than to get Gary Bettman out of the bubble as fast as we can?
I can't wait to see Bill Daly and Gary without their masks, and the GMs without their masks and their bulging eyes, and the coaches on the benches with no masks.
Did you get the shot of Bill Daly checking out the Monday Night Football game? I think he had some action on it with blitzbet.eu. That's what I think.
And he was phoning up to the rooftop bar to get a private table reserved.
Last shot that you needed to get in. You just told us a minute ago of how sensitive you are, and now you blew it.
Okay, sorry.
That was an insensitive comment.
It was. Sorry.
Can you work on that? Are you back again tomorrow? I think you're back again tomorrow, and then I'm giving you 2 days off.
Yeah. Yes,
I don't like it. I don't like it. We're getting into the crunch of things, and you're golfing. The hell is that?
Well, and you are so pissed off that I'm going to be at Cabot Cliffs and Cabot Links, and you're not going to be. You have to hang out at the Rosedale Country Club, and I'm at Cabot
Cliffs. Because you mentioned it the other day on our show, does that mean free green fees?
No. I'm
full
locked
sticker
in.
Price.
Full price, yeah. There's no John Shannon can't even get a discount there. He told me.
Wow. Okay, so we'll continue this tomorrow.
Yeah,
and we'll find another team for you to pick apart.
hit the love button. I forgot to hit the love button till this morning, so I was a little late. So I got to get on it a little better.
What do we have?
There's always a chance to make up for lost time, Doug. You could press
That's
any
right.
button. Everybody
Only-
in chat too. Press the buttons, and we're good.
Only 37 likes for you today. That's why, because there's sensitive people out there, Mac.
I know. Don't get them going on
Okay.
me.
For
Don't
all
get them
you
going on me.
insensitive people, hit the like button for Mac.
We got some boosts for the sensitive ones, though. So this is
We
a
got the
sensitive
boost.
boost only. So anybody
That's
that's
right.
not sensitive, please exit the chat right now. We understand.
Okay, Mac, great job today as always. Cameo appearance on T-shirt Tuesday. Appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Enjoy your round today, warming up for Cabot on the weekend, and we'll
Thanks for
catch
having
you
me.
tomorrow. Doug Maclean,
Thank-
everybody, Summerside PEI. And for all of you, once again, thank you so much for joining us. So much that we talked about. We'll catch the conference final in the East tonight. See if the Islanders can hang on. Can they bring great energy? Can we see the Barzell line maybe broken up a little bit? Maybe Trotz goes down that angle.
Yeah.
Maybe he takes the first 5 or 10 minutes, see how things feel out. But we'll see if they can create some offense in different ways. Thanks for joining us. For those of you first-timers, please subscribe. Love to see you here on board regularly. I'm Nick Kypreos for Doug Maclean and the crew here at Real Kyper at noon. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.